In the silent shadows of a moonless night, a forgotten manuscript was unearthed, its yellowed pages bearing the faint touch of Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. In a profound trance, when his spirit slipped free from its mortal shell, Cayce glimpsed a realm beyond, a metaphysical expanse where he beheld the Book of Light, a cosmic library cradling every memory, every pulse of the soul. What becomes of us when the final breath fades? He wondered, and the answer came as a gentle radiance, not blinding but embracing. Death, he whispered, is not darkness, but a threshold to an eternal journey. Does the soul vanish, or does it become a note in the unending symphony of existence? Step into Cayce's dreamlike vision, where light unveils mysteries yet untold, beckoning us to explore the unseen paths of the soul. Beneath the dust of decades, in a forgotten archive where time seemed to hold its breath, a fragile manuscript surfaced, its ink trembling with the weight of secrets. Attributed to Edgar Cayce, the American seer known as the Sleeping Prophet, this document, lost for nearly a century, whispered truths that transcended the veil of mortality. It was no ordinary text. It was a testament, a voice from the beyond, etched in the quiet moments when Cayce's soul wandered realms unseen. In the deepest of his trances, when his consciousness drifted free from the confines of flesh, he beheld a vision so radiant it defied the limits of human words. The Book of Light, a cosmic library where every soul's journey was inscribed, not in ink, but in the shimmering threads of eternity. Cayce spoke of this vision with a reverence that hushed those who heard him. "I saw no walls, no gates," he wrote, "only an expanse of light, soft yet unending, where every thought, every tear, every unspoken love was held." This was not a place, he insisted, but a state. A realm where the soul, unburdened by the weight of the body, could read its own story. The Book of Light was no mere metaphor. It was the heart of the afterlife, a tapestry woven from the vibrations of every life. "What is death?" he asked in the stillness of his trance. The answer came not as words, but as a knowing. Death is not an end, nor a beginning, but a return to the source, a step into the eternal now where all that was, is, and will be converges. In this manuscript, Cayce's voice carries the weight of one who has seen beyond the horizon. He describes the moment his spirit entered this luminous archive, guided not by hands, but by a pull, as if the light itself recognized him. "I was not alone," he wrote. "There were others, souls, not as bodies, but as presences, each a flicker of radiance, each a story unfolding." He saw souls poring over their own pages, not with fear, but with a quiet understanding. Some wept, not in sorrow, but in awe, as they traced the ripples of their lives, every kindness, every wound, every unspoken dream. Others stood silent, as if hearing their own hearts for the first time. "There is no judgment here," Cayce declared, "only clarity. You see not what you did, but what you were." This vision, he claimed, was not meant to be hidden. Yet it was, for the world was not ready. The manuscript, scribbled in a hurried hand, was tucked away, perhaps by Cayce himself, perhaps by those who feared its truths. It spoke of a reality too vast for dogma, too intimate for doctrine. "The Book of Light is not a reward," he wrote, "nor a punishment. It is you, laid bare, your essence reflected in the mirror of eternity. To read it is to know yourself, not as a name, not as a fleeting role, but as a spark of the divine, a note in the endless melody of creation." Why did Cayce see this? Why was he chosen to glimpse the afterlife's heart? He offered no answer, only a quiet certainty. "I was shown so that others might remember." His words, though soft, burn with urgency. They call to us, across the chasm of time, to ponder our own place in this cosmic story. What do we carry into the light? What traces do we leave in the souls we touch? The manuscript ends this first revelation with a promise. The journey does not end with death. It deepens. And as we turn the page of Cayce's vision, we are invited to step closer to the mystery, to ask not what lies beyond, but who we become when we arrive. Within the radiant expanse of the Book of Light, Edgar Cayce's vision deepened, as if the cosmos itself parted to reveal the heart of the afterlife. In the manuscript's trembling pages, he describes not a destination, but a reckoning, not with a judge, but with the self. When the body falls away, he wrote, the soul steps into a mirror, not of glass, but of truth. Here, you read not your actions, but their echoes, not your words, but the feelings they stirred. This was the essence of the afterlife, a state where time dissolved, and the soul stood bare before its own story, woven into the tapestry of all existence. It was not a place of fire or clouds, but a silent symphony of understanding, where every moment of a life shimmered like a star in the vast night. Cayce's words, penned in the hush of his trance, pulse with a quiet intensity. You do not arrive to be judged, he insisted, but to see. You open the Book of Light, and it is your life, written not in ink but in the vibrations of your heart. In this cosmic library, each soul becomes its own reader, tracing the threads of love given, pain inflicted, and dreams left unspoken. There are no voices to accuse, no hands to condemn. The soul alone bears witness, feeling the weight of every choice, every ripple sent across the lives of others. I saw a man weep, Cayce wrote, not for his sins, but for the kindness he withheld. I saw a woman smile, not for her triumphs, but for the love she sowed in secret. This mirror of truth, he explained, is neither cruel nor kind. It simply is. It shows the soul not as it wished to be, but as it was. You are not your name, not your mistakes, not your fleeting joys, Cayce declared. You are the sum of what you gave and what you held back, the light you shared and the shadows you cast. In this state, time collapses. A single moment of cruelty or compassion stretches into eternity, felt not as punishment or reward, but as clarity. The soul sees itself through the eyes of those it touched, living their joy, their sorrow, their unspoken wounds. This is the judgment, he wrote, not God's, but yours. You feel what you created, and in that feeling, you know who you are. Yet Cayce's vision is not one of despair. The mirror of the soul, though unflinching, is bathed in a light that does not burn but heals. There is no darkness here, he wrote, only understanding. The light does not blind, it reveals. It does not reject, it embraces. Souls do not linger in shame or pride. They grow. They see the threads of their lives interwoven with others, understanding that no act, no word was ever truly separate. A kind gesture to a stranger, a harsh word to a loved one, each reverberates not lost, but alive in the eternal now. I saw souls pause, Cayce recounted, not in fear, but in awe, as they realized their smallest deeds had shaped the stars. This revelation, he warned, is not reserved for the afterlife alone. Begin now, he urged, to know yourself. Live with eyes open to the traces you leave. The manuscript's pages seem to hum with this call, as if Cayce's voice reaches through time to stir the living. To step into the Book of Light is to confront the truth of your existence, but it is also to find freedom, the freedom to shed illusions, to embrace the love you carried, and to release the pain you clung to. As the vision unfolds, Cayce beckons us to ask, what story are we writing in the book of our soul? And when the mirror appears, will we meet it with courage, ready to see the light we truly are? In the radiant stillness of the Book of Light, Edgar Cayce's vision unfolded further, revealing the boundless paths a soul may tread after the body's final breath. His manuscript, a fragile bridge between worlds, speaks of souls not bound to a single fate, but free to choose, guided by the weight of their love and the pull of their unfinished songs. The afterlife is not a resting place, Cayce wrote, but a journey, eternal and ever-changing. Some souls return to earth, clothed anew in flesh. Others linger as whispers of guidance, and some, radiant with understanding, merge into the light, becoming part of the great harmony. In this cosmic tapestry, every soul is a thread, weaving its own story, yet forever entwined with the whole. Cayce's words, etched in the trembling ink of his trance, pulse with a quiet urgency. "I saw souls standing at a crossroads," he recounted, "not of stone, but of thought. They looked upon their lives, not with regret, but with clarity, and chose. Some," he said, "felt the call of earth, a longing to mend what was broken, to speak what was unsaid, to love what was unloved. These souls, drawn by incompleteness, return, not as punishment, but as an act of grace. They come not for themselves alone," Cayce wrote, "but for those they left behind, to heal, to teach, to forgive." Rebirth, he insisted, is not a cycle of suffering, but a chance to refine the soul's melody, to sing its note more purely. Other souls Cayce saw chose not to return. "They remain," he wrote, "not as ghosts, but as light, soft, and unseen, guiding those still bound to time. These are the presences felt in dreams, in moments of silence, in the sudden warmth of a memory. I saw a mother, her form no longer flesh, standing beside her grieving child," he described. "She did not speak, but her light was a lullaby, soothing the heart that mourned her. These souls linger out of love, or because the living hold them close, unable to release. They do not suffer," Cayce assured, "but they wait until the heart that calls them finds peace." Yet there are those who ascend, Cayce revealed, their vibrations so pure they merge with the source. "I saw them," he wrote, "not as forms, but as radiance, dissolving into a light that was not blinding but embracing. They were not gone, they were everywhere. These souls, having seen their truth in the book of light, shed all that was not love, becoming part of the eternal chorus. They are the music of the stars," he said, "the warmth in the dawn, the whisper in the wind. They are God, not as a being, but as memory, as love, as the source from which all came and to which all return. This vision," Cayce warned, "is not distant. The paths you choose now shape the journey beyond," he wrote. "Every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness tunes the soul's vibration, drawing it closer to the light. Live as if you are already eternal," he urged, "for you are." His words, though soft, carry the weight of a call to awaken. The afterlife is not a reward or a reckoning alone. It is a continuation, a deepening of the soul's purpose. "I saw souls who returned to teach through pain," he recounted, "and others who came to learn through joy. None were lost. All were on their way home." As Cayce's vision lingers in the manuscript's pages, it stirs a question in the heart. What path will your soul choose when the veil lifts? Will you return to weave new threads of love? Will you linger to guide a weary heart? Or will you dissolve into the light, a note in the eternal song? The answer, Cayce whispers, begins now in the choices you make, in the love you give, in the truths you dare to face. In the luminous depths of Edgar Cayce's vision, as recorded in his rediscovered manuscript, a shadow emerges, not of darkness, but of hesitation. Beyond the radiant expanse of the Book of Light lies a realm he called the Gray Field, a twilight where souls linger, caught in the tangled threads of their own unfinished thoughts. "I saw them," Cayce wrote, "not in torment, but in stillness, as if time itself had paused. They were not lost, yet neither were they free. This was no hell, no purgatory of fire, but a quiet expanse where memories wove knots too heavy to unravel. Here, souls repeat their lives, not in pain, but in a dreamlike echo, searching for the key to move onward, a key forged not in judgment, but in forgiveness. Cayce's words, trembling on the page, draw us into this haunting yet hopeful realm. The gray field is not a place, he explained, but a state where the soul clings to what it could not release, regret, anger, love unspoken. He saw souls wandering, their forms not of flesh, but of faint light, replaying moments of their lives like a melody stuck on a single note. I watched a man relive a quarrel, Cayce recounted, not as punishment but as a question. Could he have chosen differently? These souls, he said, do not suffer in the way the living imagine. They are held not by chains, but by their own vibrations, unable to rise until they understand the weight they carry. Yet the gray field is not eternal. There is always a path, Cayce insisted, and it begins with a single thought. Forgiveness, he revealed, is the spark that unties the knots of memory. I saw a woman, her light dim, trapped in the pain she caused another, he wrote. Then, in a moment of clarity, she whispered, I am sorry, and the field brightened. She began to rise. This act, whether for oneself or another, is no mere word. It is a shift, a realignment of the soul's essence. Forgiveness does not erase the past, Cayce noted, but it frees the soul to see beyond it, to feel the light waiting above. The manuscript pulses with this truth. The gray field is not a sentence, but a pause, a space for growth. Some linger longer, Cayce observed, not because they are unworthy, but because their lessons are deep. He saw souls who had left the earth in sudden tragedy, unaware they had passed, wandering the gray field in search of themselves. They felt everything, he wrote, their fears, their loves, their unresolved hopes, but could not separate one from another. Yet even here the light of understanding waits. I saw a soul, lost in guilt, suddenly remember a moment of kindness they had given, he recounted. That memory was a thread, pulling them upward, toward the radiance. Cayce's vision carries a warning for the living. The seeds of the gray field are sown now. Every grudge you hold, every wound you refuse to heal, builds the shadows you may one day walk, he wrote. But with this warning comes hope. You need not wait for death to forgive, he urged. Begin now, and the path to the light grows clear. The gray field, he emphasized, is not a trap, but a teacher, showing the soul its own power to choose freedom. No soul is abandoned, he assured. Even in the twilight, the light calls, patient and eternal. As Cayce's words fade from the page, they leave a lingering question. What burdens do we carry that might anchor us in the gray field? What forgiveness might we offer to others or ourselves to lighten our soul's journey? The manuscript beckons us to look within, to release the knots we weave, and to trust that even in the twilight, the path to the light is never closed. For in the gray field, as in life, every soul is on its way home, if only it dares to let go. As Edgar Cayce's vision reaches its crescendo in the fragile pages of his rediscovered manuscript, the veil of the afterlife parts to reveal a truth both profound and tender. The light of eternity is not distant, but near, woven into the very fabric of our lives. The soul does not end, he wrote, nor does it fade. It remembers, it loves, it returns to the source not as a stranger, but as a note reclaiming its place in the great melody. In this final revelation, Cayce speaks of a light that does not blind, but embraces, a light that is God, not a being, but a memory, a love, a home where every soul is known. Here, in the heart of the Book of Light, the journey of the soul finds its meaning, and the living are called to awaken to their own immortality. Cayce's words, inked in the hush of his deepest trance, shimmer with a quiet fire. "I saw the light," he recounted, "not as a flame, but as a presence, soft yet boundless, holding every soul in its gaze. This light," he said, "is the source from which we came and to which we return, not to be judged, but to be understood. In its embrace, you see everything," he wrote. "Every moment of your life, every heart you touched, every tear you caused or dried. It is all there, not as a ledger, but as a song. The soul, stripped of illusions, stands not alone but connected, feeling the joys and sorrows it wove into the lives of others. This is not punishment," Cayce insisted, "but truth. You become the love you gave, the forgiveness you offered, the light you dared to share. Yet this light is not confined to the afterlife. It is here now," Cayce urged, "in every breath, in every silent prayer, in every moment you choose love over fear." He saw the living and the departed bound by invisible threads, touching one another through dreams, memories, and quiet stirrings of the heart. "I saw a man, grieving his lost friend, sit in silence," he wrote. "In that stillness, his friend's soul drew near, not as a shadow, but as a warmth, a whisper saying, 'I am here.'" These connections, Cayce revealed, are not rare. "When you think of those you've lost, you open a door," he said. "They hear you. They answer, not in words, but in peace, in a breeze, in a feeling that calms the soul. The manuscript pulses with a call to the living. Live as if the light is already yours. Do not fear death," Cayce wrote, "for it is not a wall but a window, not an end but a dawn." He urged us to love fiercely, forgive freely, and remember that every act, every word, is a vibration that echoes beyond the veil. "You are already eternal," he declared, "not will be, but are. Live as if you know this truth." His vision is a beacon, illuminating the path to a life of purpose, where every kindness is a star, every forgiveness a bridge to the light. As Cayce's vision closes, it leaves a lingering echo. The light waits for us all, patient and unending. "When your time comes," he wrote, "you will not fall, but rise, stepping beyond the veil into a silence where you hear everything, a light where you see everyone. There, in the embrace of the source, you will remember who you are, a spark of the divine, a note in the eternal song. So live now, love now, forgive now, for the Book of Light is already open, and your story is being written. Step boldly, for the light is not just ahead, it is within you, waiting to be remembered."